everybody for being here today. I wanted to make some special thank yous earlier on than later. So I wanted to thank all the wonderful organizations that are here today that helped me put this together because I couldn't have done it without them. I would like to first thank North Bronx Central Hospital, Gloria Bent, and all those who are part of North Bronx Central Hospital. I would like to thank Mr. Hernandez for allowing us to stay. I would also like to thank Shaniqua from Miss Abby's Kids. Woo woo! I want to do some woo! And Palms Upon My Hand, which is a domestic violence organization fighting for the rights of women. All right. Crusaders for Children, who are doing a whole lot for our youth and making sure that they are safe. She's also fighting, Heather Guarino is also fighting for domestic violence as well. All right. Assemblywoman Nathalia Fernandez, which will be joining us soon. Angels Give Back from Isabella Lovett. The DJ Cisco Show and Mr. Chris, who's our DJ today. Give it up for him. Style by Miracle, our youngest advocate. National Coalition for 100 Black Women. You gotta give it up. Artists Up, who will be here shortly. Keisha Thomas Management. Lil Lex, talking about no bullying. Transforming Her Cane, I love that. And Rico Kane, who's an artist here today, up and coming and doing the big things out there. Songbird, music selection from her. Thank you. And Chris Lane, the future. Guys, that's his voice. So I'd like to thank you guys all for coming out today and making this possible. I am super happy and super excited. I know we're super late, but I think that nevertheless it will be a great show and everybody will enjoy it. We have food that will be free here for you guys to eat afterwards. Please take plenty of pictures and enjoy yourself. All right, thank you. The first person that we have up today would be a song from Amaya Grant Songbird. She'll be singing an acapella song, Powerful.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
People been talking about it. We won't just stand here in silence. Can't stop the fire from rising, rising. Whoa, whoa. People, don't you be afraid. So many innocents slain. This is an era for change, change. Malcolm's probably turning in his grave. Every shade was beautifully made. You're powerful. There's so much strength in you and me. Powerful. A breath away from victory. I matter, you matter, we matter all. I matter, you matter, we matter all. Powerful, powerful. I see a colorful future where skin don't define any human. The stars are the only thing shooting, shooting. Oh, mothers who bury their child. How can we sit there and hide? Change comes when all take a stand now. Stand up, stand up. Martin's speech still echoes in my brain. Every shade was beautifully made. You're powerful. There's so much strength in you and me. Powerful. A breath away from victory. I matter, you matter, we matter all. I matter. There's so much strength in you and me. Powerful. A breath away from victory. I matter, you matter, we matter. Oh, I matter, you matter, we matter. Oh, powerful, powerful, powerful.
Yes, let's give it up one more time for this powerful songwriter. Listen, we in community every day, and I didn't introduce myself earlier, but my name is Shaniqua Charles. And again, I'm just really excited to be here in a room full of such beautiful people. And hey, these young people are on the front lines every single day, all right? So give it up for the young people in the room that pick up that mantle when our arms get tired, that hold the torch when we don't have the strength to, and then give us the reminders that every single day we got to get up and do it for them. All right, amen, amen, amen. All right, so listen, next up, we getting ready to bring up Papa Freedom Youth, if you will, but co-founder and beloved husband to Miss Monique Riley. We have the Dream Like Martin inspirational message coming from no other than Joseph Riley. Let's give it up.
How y'all doing this evening? All right. My message is pretty short, but it's to the point. And I want to make sure that I reach out to everybody in here, not just the youth that are in attendance. So I would like to formally introduce myself. My name is Joseph Riley, and I'm the outreach coordinator of Freedom Youth LLC. And I truly hope everybody's enjoying this blessed occasion that we can come together. All right. First, I want to thank all the organizers and the people who came out and made this, and made it possible. You know who you are. I can't name everyone, I'm sorry. But let me get to the point and why we're here. So, the Civil Rights Movement in the United States was a decade-long struggle between 1954 and 1968 by African Americans and also our Bronx community as well, to end legalized racial discrimination, disenfranchisement, and racial segregation in the United States. During this period, many activists stood out. As we all know, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Marcus Garvey, and Muhammad Ali. But Dr. Martin Luther King was also present during this movement. And we're all aware of his I Have a Dream speech in 1963, which cultivated millions. So it reached everybody. Excuse me, I'm under the weather, sorry. So, in order to make this once-in-a-lifetime speech, he had to have a dream. Most of us believe, as for Christians, most of us believe that Martin Luther King had a vision from God, not just a dream. While he was a dedicated pastor, or it could have had just, it could just have been a regular dream. The things that he done during the toughest periods of our greatest history, others would have gave up before the struggle even started. As he marched to fulfill his mission, he encountered jail time, police brutality, and hatred amongst his peers. Some people thought he was crazy to think that one day that blacks and whites can come together in the same room and have the same view. What he did was for our equality, everybody, not for financial gain or presidential race. He did it for all races, all genders, and all religions, to come together and enjoy great moments like we have here. He fought to keep his dream alive, and he also sacrificed his life to keep that dream alive. Excuse me. Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated April 4th, 1968, not seeing the dream and the mission come true or fulfilled. So I stand to you today, not to just empower the youth, but encourage and empower everyone here to keep your dreams alive. Now, excuse me, I'm all over the place, I'm sorry. But everyone who thinks they can't continue to pursue their dream or think they are not significant enough for anyone to care, I'm gonna just encourage you again to think like how Martin dreamed. And with everything you have within you, keep that fight alive. Fight tooth and nail to keep it alive, because it's yours. And finally, when the storm clears, go out and achieve your dreams. For my youth in attendance, you don't have to struggle like Martin did. Some of us older people may consider modern technology as a hindrance, and all you watch is YouTube, and all you watch is, all you do is Fortnite. But I see it as an opportunity to get whatever you want out of life in the palm of your hands. All your dreams, anything that you want is right here in the palm of your hands. This is how I see it. And I want to encourage you guys to really take the time and utilize this modern technology and pursue your dreams. Even for the people in attendance, older people who feel like their dreams are gone, they're still here and they're still present. And I just really want you to encourage everybody today, and I keep saying the word encourage, because we need more encouragement. We need all of us to come together and not hate on each other, but pick each other up and make sure that all of our achievements and dreams are put out there and achieved. Thank you.
I know y'all can give it up better than that. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Joe Riley. Now, hey, listen. If we don't stop for 1 second and acknowledge the teamwork that it takes to make everything possible here in this space, we've held many events here, and this hospital continues to open up love and pour love onto us. As a matter of fact, if I could share a quick story, my mother, who died 7 years ago, 8 years ago next month from cancer, was treated in this hospital for nearly 20 years. This was her hospital. And the first event that I did here was her anniversary date, celebrating Black history and her life celebration here in that very same hospital. So, we're responsible for that in this moment. And what we're gonna do is have them come up and speak to you. And as the CEO of this beautiful establishment that cares for community, fights back when they try to close them down, fights back when they take away things that we know that our hospital needs, is the CEO, Miss Katrina Contreras. Please give it up for her.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to North Central Bronx. I want to take a minute just to welcome everyone. And it was very significant to hear about this celebration. I have to acknowledge Shaniqua. She does a lot of great work for the community. And the different organizations that are here supporting her and supporting us as well. It's nice to have members of the community concerned. Today is a very important day, and I'm not going to go into a lot, but it's a good sense of reminder of what Dr. King represents. And it definitely it's a message that we have to take home. We usually just, especially in our busy lives, we don't take a lot of time to stop and think of the meaning of certain things. And being in the community, organizing, being part of some significance, making a difference in everybody's life is important. And it's important for us, it's important for the kids. This is why this organization, Freedom Youth, is very important for the message that they're bringing. And it's a good reminder for us that we have to be there for the youth. They're there, they're not only going to be there later in the future, but they're the ones that are going to shape our future, shape everything that represents what we're standing up for today, that we're fighting for today. They are going to continue the legacy, and that's important. So we have to be supportive of them and encourage them and teach them. Not everybody learns the same, but we gotta be there for them so they can understand the importance of all the hard work that everybody's putting together. Because we all come together most of the time for something. We have to stand for something, we gotta support each other, but we gotta bring the youth with us and help them understand why everything is important, why history is important, why history is important for the future, for the decisions that we make when we stand for something. So please, when you see the youth, try to make them understand. Not everybody's at the same level. Just because they seem to be distracted doesn't mean they don't get it. I explain it to them in the level so they can understand, because guess what? They are the ones that are going to continue the message later on. When we can't keep the message, when we can't walk, when we can't make decisions, they are going to be the judges of the future. They're going to be the district attorneys of the future. They're going to be the cops of the future. So the message has to come. Yes, we understand about the history, but we got to make sure that they understand and they can take the message forward. Hopefully they'll be, we're going to be in a good place. And again, I don't mean to take too much time. I just wanted to highlight the importance of today's, and it was key that it happened on the same day, because Dr. King, I think the message for me, it has a lot of meaning in terms of collaboration, setting goals, having strength, coming together, standing for something, making a difference. And trust me, sometimes you say, what I do doesn't make a difference. It makes a difference if you help one person. If you take a person with you, if you're there for someone, you might not know the impact that you have in that person's life, but helping one person at a time, coming together, unity is important, community is important, standing for something is important. Everybody's standing for one good subject. You know how strong we are? We're very strong. But the strength is in the unity. Strength is coming together. You coming to the point where everything, there's a lot of different organizations here, they all stand for something good for the community. Supporting them, supporting us, and we're here for you, so welcome everybody. Just wanted to say that, thank you.
Now I know you can give it up a little bit better for her than that. I'm going to be a constant reminder of how much energy you need to be sharing out here today. Thank you so much, Ms. Christina. We appreciate it. And I want also for the folks to give another warm round of applause for this gentleman right here, Mr. Alex, because without him, you wouldn't be able to hear us, see us, and they make sure that everything is put together for us. Miss Bent. Here's what I need to say about Miss Bent. We served on Community Board 7 together. We served in community together. At 5 a.m., if I have something on my mind that is troubling me, she calls me and we pray together. And every time she calls me and sheds a word of love and light over a situation, it works out. Did y'all hear that? When she shares a word of love and light in the form of prayer, it works out. And so earlier I mentioned to you that when we came to this hospital, the reason that we knew it was here, there's a great team. If it were not for the three of them, it would not be possible. But we knew that the love was here because Miss Bent brought the hospital out into the street and let us know. And so I need you all to give her a warm round of applause as she comes up to give her speech to you guys, Miss Gloria Bent. I know y'all can give it up a little bit better for her than that. Don't make me get my belt, y'all. Don't make me get my belt.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Party. Welcome to North Central Bronx Hospital. This is the core of the community. This is a community hospital. And why we are here today just to give that dream of hope, togetherness, unity. If there's a spill with anyone, we just have to turn around and say, you know what, I forgive you. Because guess what? If the person was dying or dead, we would be all here. So if we are alive, so why can't we just work together in unity? If there's a little blur, just say, God, we got to work together with unity. Because in unity is strength. My name is Gloria Bent. I'm a registered dietitian. I worked at North Central for the past 29 years. It's going to be 30 years. North Central and the clinics. My last stop is in the community. And you know why I love the community? Because I see everything that happens. And when it happened, I saw the changes. Losing weight, you lose weight because of what you start eating healthy. So today, I just want to talk to tell you about eating healthy, just a small number of it. Don't get frustrated. When you get frustrated, then you go depressed. Then you get depressed, what has happened? You end up in a mental institution. So the eating ties into it. So today, as we celebrated Martin Luther King, he had a dream, and the dream is for us to keep healthy, work together in unity. Because if we don't do that, it's not going to work. Right. And by the grace of God, we've got to do it. We've got to do it. Because guess what? Eating is the core of everything. Everything you eat. If you don't eat, you can't live. Right? So think about have that gas in the car. So I'm so glad that we are all here today to celebrate Martin Luther King and to celebrate us working together, moving forward in unity. So my 2 words is just work together in unity. If you need help, call. If you need help, call someone. Don't get depressed, don't get frustrated. If someone step on your toe, just say, hi, you step on my toe. Don't get that person. Don't get into a squabble. If someone move in your space, say, hi, this is nice space. Can I share it with you? Because it don't make sense to come out here and we don't go back with anything. We have to go back with something. So this is a place of love. This hospital is a place of love and unity. So thank you all. Listen, take something home. When you're going, you have a word. You know, remember? Word is what? Power. Unity is what? Strength. And we all going to work together. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll see each other in the community. Have a great day. And welcome to President.
You can go ahead.
Today is just remarkable, right? So, there's people that's going to be speaking. We have some singers. Now we're getting ready to bring up one of our most phenomenal young people who has not only a message about anti-bullying, but also comes with the powerhouse attitude. And girl, you better listen when she speaks. I need you all to give it all the way up for our girl, Little Lexi. I know y'all can do better than that.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I'm gonna do a rap. It's about anti-bullying because I was getting bullied in school for now 3 years. And nobody was listening to me. They kept on pushing me down the stairs, pulling my fingers back that I had to get a brace. And they kept on pulling my hair. So I made a song. Well, yeah. And one day, when I was 7, my mom was washing my hair. She left the bathroom for a little while to do something. And then I tried to drown myself because I was tired of doing it. But good thing my mom worked in Lincoln Hospital and she saved my life because without her, then I wouldn't be here right now. Tell your parents you can't mess with me if you wanted to. Oh. Tell your parents you can't mess with me if you wanted to. Cause I model and I dance and I get good grades in school. After class, catch me in the lunchroom, that's me and my crew. Drinking chocolate, mocha, share with snacks, cause we're really cool. Had a talent, so it's cool. Not the person, but the bear. I'ma give y'all time to laugh, cause I don't really care. When my brain is my fire, I can conquer anywhere. I'm Little Lex, I don't gotta flex. I'm not like the rest, yeah I know. You ain't gotta tell me, I know I'm the best. At the show, I'm the host. You ain't nothing but the guest. Every day's a fashion show. By the way that I be dressed. Tell your parents you can't mess with me.
Now I know y'all can give it up better for Little West now. You sit next to somebody you don't know, go ahead and exchange information because you are all sitting in the presence of greatness, right? And the very next thing that you might need or want to do might be coming from a person sitting right next to you, all right? So, coming up next, now listen here. We have a beautiful sister named Dr. Sonia Banks, and she's going to be doing the MLK Dream Lived Out Loud through Black women. Oh, y'all go ahead and give it up for this sister right now.
Hello, everybody. How are you? Hey. All right, y'all been sitting here for a while, so I'm going to try not to have you sit. So for those of you that can stand up, I want to just open us by bringing some energy from the center into ourselves. So how many of y'all can stand? Can you stand up? Yeah, stand up. Raise your arms up. Right? You can sit. So we just want a little something. I'm the president of the Coalition of 100 Black Women Manhattan chapter. We have people talking and teaching. So this system's been around the world. The top 40 leaders said, if you want to bring energy in, you do this. You put your hands up and you pull it down. Pull it down. Pull it down. Pull it down. And then push it out. Push it out. Push it out. Bring it down. Push it out. Bring it down. Push it out. Bring it down. Push it out. And now if you're bad, she said do this. Start swinging like this. Oh, I know. Move up. Start swinging your arms. Swing like you can. And bring it down. Bring it down. Bring it out. Bring it down. Bring it out. All right. We got some energy in here. Yeah, let's make Marty proud. So I was asked to talk, as usual, about the pathways to empowerment and talk a bit about the role of Black women in the movement. Now, the role of Black women in the movement largely is invisible and visible. So imagine the story I'm going to tell you is really educational. And I worked this out with my brother. This is actually largely his talk. And it's going to talk you through how the movement actually got from where we think of it and where it is. So we're going to show you some slides. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep talking about the women that are part of this. So just to give you some context of why the coalition is here. The coalition was actually founded as a result of the civil rights movement. The National Coalition of 100 Black Women has 59 chapters in over 23 states, but it started right here in New York City. And it started in Manhattan under an amazing leader, Jill Jackson McCabe, when it became really clear that Black women didn't have a pathway through the glass ceiling. Anybody know something about the glass ceiling? Yeah. Because we're still hitting it, right? And when she started the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Jewel is a method maker and a method breaker. So the minute she started it, then she's paired up with our Latino sisters and they started National Coalition of 100 Hispanic women and then 100 Asian women. And they already had the Coalition of 100 Black men. So by keeping it 100, we all brought our power together to focus on health, education, gender equity, and empowering our youth and mentoring our youth so that the ceiling that they have to break won't even be there. So we're still working for that. And we work with amazing women. We bring in women that are interested in pooling their talents, unity, pooling their brilliance and their resources and bringing it all together so that we each benefit from each other. So the Manhattan chapter has amazing people. We have doctors and we have CEOs and we have lawyers and nurses and teachers and educators and women that run homeless shelters and women that actually put together the legal cases that destroy injustice. And we work together because we all believe in one cause. We believe in one common goal. That if we do it together, we can learn faster and do more. So as you look at what Martin did, a little bit of a glimpse that's going to show you a different side of how Martin got to the thought and talk. Listen for the voices of the coalition. Listen on how we came out of this movement and said, now we've got to move something forward for women, particularly in New York. So the pathway to empowerment is both a self and a society movement. And this picture I thought was telling, because those three women started off as those three little girls, right? Somebody poured into them, somebody developed them, somebody stopped on a cold Saturday and said, I need to speak words into your spirit, I need to keep educating you with a curriculum of inclusion. Because I know that you've got to grow up and sit around that table and you've got to speak on behalf of women and girls. And so I want to start where you're at that level. To that point, you'll hear from my sisters, and we have an education committee. We're looking for young girls, and we're partnering with another mentoring program. And the National Coalition of 100 Black Women has now signed with our Essence editor, Susan Taylor, to bring her national program in as our curriculum. Okay, yes. But it starts with each one teaching one. So part of what I want to do is a quick history. Is you've seen and you know the 60s, right? Depending on where you stood and what lessons you learned. And then I just took it to 2010. I didn't even go up to, minus as our leader. But not much has changed. It's just got a different color. See, to the left, we were doing it all in black and white, right? Because that's what our media allowed us to do. And now we see the violence and the concern that Martin had in color. And we look at what we can do to inspire this. And this sister, I think she should get a standing ovation every time, because this woman, single-handedly, 10 years ago, I think it is now, started looking at the rates of incarceration and said, wait a minute, do the math. There's something about what's not happening in the movement and the people that aren't coming back, the families that we're losing. Our formerly incarcerated citizens are not being treated equally. And I believe if Martin were here, he would say, that's the road that we have to go down. We are all citizens of this country. You can't separate me because you deem me in a category. And so this sister, as you know, was working for civil rights attorneys and working in the city, and she started getting all these numbers and stats, and she said, something ain't right. There can't be this many people going inside the system. It just doesn't add up. And her husband was a prosecutor. Now, can you imagine living in the house with a woman writing a book that's getting ready to take you down every day? He joined her. He helped her. And Michelle Alexander was the forerunner of us starting to talk about incarceration differently. A black woman who decided something isn't right. I'll lose my job. I'll lose my name. I'll lose whatever it is. And she started in Chicago, President Obama's actual city, and said, enough is enough. It is the new Jim Crow. It is the new place where we are now jailing each other, and there's more to come. So I had to bring her up because she is the theme for a lot of what we look at in our lives. And we've already seen who's gone down and what's gone down. When my brother gave this talk in Chicago, Walter Scott, the police officer that shot him in the back, the captain was fired. Everybody on down lost their job, as they should have. They should have lost more, but that's my opinion, don't take me. The captain was sitting in the audience and came up to him and started talking to him. Forgiveness, community. He lost his job, he had to learn. Shooting brothers in the back is not a good thing. You're gonna lose your job, and you should lose more, but at the end of the day, he was in this talk, and he started a pathway of reconciliation to understand the injustice he was overseeing. So don't ever give up on anybody. Here's what we know, the changing face of America, this is what everybody's afraid of. If you look to the far right, in the year 2060, the entire country will be in a place where white America is a minority at 43%. Around 2040, it's going to be closer to maybe 50. In 2030, it'll only be like less than 58%. So a lot of the guns that are locking and loading right now in Richmond, Virginia, you probably know, they're walking in because they want to be able to use guns. The governor had to call a state of emergency. Right now, they did it on Martin Luther King's Day. No accident. As we are sitting in these seats, Richmond, Virginia is in turmoil because a group of people that believe they should own guns, not put them down like Martin did, but he decided it wasn't the right thing to do, are confronting the governor. And I believe they're confronted over that statistic right there. If we take away their guns, where will their power be? If you're not raised in love and you're not raised in unity, then you go to violence. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned that we're still telling these stories. And part of our larger challenge, we know about the wealth gap. We know where it's all going. We know about the income of our home. Look who's at the top. Our Asian brothers and sisters are actually making a little bit more than our white brothers and sisters. I don't know if they know that. Do they know that? I know you tell them that's lie. But at the end of the day, Black and Hispanic folk are still at the bottom, and we're trying to figure out what can we do on a day-to-day basis to shift this reality. Home ownership will not change. And here's the piece that's got, I believe, Martin and the King family and the sisters, have a chance sometimes to talk to our national leaders. And we wonder still about the stats here, right? We wonder how our children are going to walk down the street and go to libraries and feel safe if these gun stats are showing us dying at a higher rate than our percentage in the city and town. And excuse me, the coalition likes to start with the facts, and then we'll tell the story. This is no different than what Martin was looking at with social reform. And he was what we call nowadays, and understand this term in love, we call it a reluctant leader. He didn't grow up saying he wanted to lead the movement. He grew up with a father who was a pastor and a leader, and he grew up knowing that he had to do what was called for him to do. So in social justice, we're still looking at issues where our children are 3 to 5 times more likely to be suspended than whites. And how do we deal with this? How many mentoring programs do we have? How many events do we have like this? Am I next is what a child is asking. So today is about us looking at the dream that needs us all to step up and lead. Step up and lead. Lead in your PTA, lead in your tenant association, lead on the elevator when somebody wants to, as you said, step on the toe. Say it's okay, I got another foot. I'll be all right. Lead with your love, lead with your kindness. Lead in a place that doesn't look at what separates us as much as what holds us together. And so the state of Black America, while we've made some progress, the percentage of poverty has actually gone down. You can't see it in New York, but maybe somewhere in the back now in Louisiana they can. I can't see it. But these national stats say in some places we're making it happen. But I'm worried about that little girl and what her life's going to look like. So the opinions are shifting, and we want you to shift with them. Take a look at one of the things that came out of looking at the real way that Martin put the strategic focus on his plan. There was an external plan and an internal plan. And the external plan, we saw the marches, the banding together, the sitting on the bus, the Rosa Parks. But how many of you all know how much prayer went into that? How many prayer meetings were going on every day, right? How many people were calling and holding each other, crying in each other's arms? The internal change that had to occur on a day-to-day basis to go out and not know if you're coming back. It's happening right now. But often when we think about the walk and the movement of social reform and the civil rights, we don't think about the internal journey. So today I want you to pause a little bit and look at what is important in the internal journey. External privilege and privilege, internal enculturation and orientation. What are we really looking for? We want you to take personal initiative. That the dream lives in you, it lives in you every day. It's when you smile, it's when you pray, it's when you meditate, it's when you decide to give love, it's when you forgive. That personal initiative is the first act of social action. It is revolutionary to be kind when somebody is mean. Revolutionary to love yourself when you don't feel like it. And internally, there is a psychosocial shift. There is a cultural shift that happens when you care that way. So we want you to stay with that. Everyone know that part of the movement came from Gandhi? All right, so check this out. Not only did part of the movement come from Gandhi, but the way Martin got the movement from Gandhi was hearing the president of an HBCU, Howard University, giving a talk, Malachi Johnson. Of course, my mother knew Malachi Johnson, but he was giving a talk and he was talking about Gandhi. And this is what King said, Gandhi was inevitable. He said, if humanity is to progress, Gandhi is inescapable. He lived, thought, and acted inspired by the vision of humanity evolving toward a world of peace and harmony. We may ignore him at our own risk. Where are your principles coming from? Where is your theory? What's holding you together? This was righteous indignation. To choose Gandhi when I'm getting kicked and spat on and locked out and shot 40 bullets in a hallway just because I'm standing there? When I'm getting arrested because my license is expired, when that used to be a death ticket and now you're holding me overnight? You want me to give you love? Well, Martin said, yeah, and he and Coretta went to India. And Gandhi was dead by then, but he studied with those leaders. After hearing Mordecai Johnson, president of Howard University. So here's King at the Crossroads. Notice all that's behind him. What do y'all see, children? What do you see all behind Martin? Books! Books! This is the man what already got, I think he's in seminary here. He's going to go to BU for another degree. The man is so educated, 4.0, right? An alpha man out of Morehouse. And he is holding on this book. Look at all these books and reading, because basically, he said, prior to reading Gandhi, I had about concluded that the ethics of Jesus were only effective in individual relationships. The turn the other cheek philosophy and the love your enemies philosophy were only valid, I felt, when individuals were in conflict with other individuals. When racial groups and nations were in conflict, a more realistic approach seemed necessary. But after reading Gandhi and understanding the power of nonviolence, this man turned and focused on what he knew would save the Negro population at that time from being completely annihilated, like our brothers on reservations, taken out by alcohol and a lack of resources and being acculturated in a society that never loved them and took their land. And so he read, because he said after reading Gandhi, I saw how utterly mistaken I was. Gandhi was probably the first person in history to lift the love ethic of Jesus above the more interaction between individuals. You got to read, y'all, because a smart leader knows when they're in crisis, and they take whatever is going to work to save their people, and they integrate it into their belief system. And so what he did is he formed a team. That's what we do at the coalition. We try to have committees, and we get all committee-fied. Because if we let everybody's resource lead, Martin actually relied on Mordecai Johnson speaking in Philly at a Quaker house about Gandhi. And he listened to that and said, that's it. And then Benjamin Mays, y'all know that man? Historic figure. I didn't know he did all this. Benjamin was the intellectual capacity. He gave the data, he kept writing. And Howard Thurman had already been to India for 3 years. And Martin used to call Howard at night. That was his mentor, to keep him on the straight and narrow. James Lawson, down at the bottom, he was a missionary in India and had been studying and worked with him. And y'all know about my boy Bayard Rustin. He just about wrote the entire movement. He wrote the handbook for the civil rights movement. This man who lived in a time when we didn't like the fact that his gender and the way he showed up in life was a little bit different than what some of our Christian folk wanted. If we had not had Bayard Rustin and Howard Thurman and Benjamin Mays and Mordecai Johnson and James Lawson, the movement would have been a march. The movement would have been a couple of women getting locked up for sitting on the back of the bus. So sisters and brothers and children, notice who your friends are. Get them to help you. Work with them. A leader doesn't have to know it all. I am useless. The only thing I do in the coalition often is help people keep the trains running. Where am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to be saying? I rely on these women to bring it. Know who your people are. And that's why the movement was so strong. And behind each of those men were amazing women. And there were women that partnered. Rosa Parks had to do it because Rosa Parks was the media savvy voice. Many a black woman had been arrested on the back of the bus. But they picked Rosa because they knew Rosa could be in front of a camera and speak and be heard. So let me take you through it so we don't spend too much more time. There are two principles. Martin had to choose one. Anybody know about ahimsa and satyagraha? So ahimsa says loosely, it means the absence of violence, either by thought, word, or deed. It's a positive sense. It implies compassion and cosmic love. It's a mental attitude. And satyagraha is actually what we do in the movement. When we have that peace and that joy, we can push out. We can sit at a Woolworth counter and have people spit on us and pour urine on us and kick us for hours and days because we rehearsed it 1,000,001 times, but because we had a ahimsa on the inside. And oh, by the way, that guy Lawson at the bottom, if you weren't able to sit when they were doing those rehearsals for Woolworth counters and take the beating that we were preparing you for so we could actually change what happened in the Woolworth counter, y'all following me? If you didn't take it in rehearsal, Lawson would say, you ain't walking in the march tomorrow, sit down, you're not ready yet. Imagine telling people they're not ready yet to lead, because he wanted you to be prepared from inside out. Is your movement moving from inside out? Or are you just standing and marching and signing petitions and going to meetings? Where is your internal corridor? How are you building the spiritual fortitude to move it? So we basically want to ask, what are your active principles? Join Martin Luther King Jr. and adjust your principles so that you speak to the beast inside and manifest it. Don't run dry by just walking. Don't run dry by just signing petitions. So basically, we're asking you to look at the truth and let the truth speak through you, whether it's your meditation, your purification. I don't care what you do, but just get it right. It's called self-care now, right? So that when you show up in community practices like this and you're doing your rites of passage programs with your young people and your selfless service, that you're doing it from a place that's full of sisters and brothers. Not from a place that's empty because you've been to 9 meetings and now you're just getting it done. So fill yourself. Notice the focus for King. Public actions and his private practices. That man prayed. Yeah, Mahalia Jackson sung to him on the phone, but they weren't just singing. And she wasn't the only one. Know how to get your fuel. Make sure you are balancing the peace and the justice and the mercy before you make decisions. We have living embodiments of those that do that. We have Betty, who was a nurse and stuck with Malcolm. We have Coretta, that every night helped and talked to Martin. Didn't care what the word on the street was. She knew who her man was and what he was doing. And of course, we have our former president, Barack Obama, and his amazing wife that continues to be his support. We have living embodiments of bringing the inside out. We want you to stay with it. We want you to prepare to be an evolving warrior, like this little child, meditating from the Africa Yoga Project. Not even 3 years old. Gonna be a badass. Okay? At that age, she knows where to go. He knows where to go for his center. And we'll share with you the path, but you already know this. This is not optional. And some argue that the movement died and then transgressed because we didn't bring enough of the internalness. We didn't hold on to this. We kept marching and writing and preaching, but we weren't doing the meditation and the prayer, the rites of passage. We weren't holding on to the Goza Saba, which is what we have now from Kwanzaa, right? The collective economic power. And so we want you to keep reading. We want you to keep speaking. We want you to take initiative. We want you to vote. We want you to fill out the census. Don't hide when they knock on the doors. This hospital may not be here. You've got to stay visible. And we want you to read about the new Jim Crow and understand what's happening in incarceration so you know how to be and how to help and support. We know you got the left side, sisters and brothers. I know you're raising your kids in the left side, but if you neglect to the right side, we will run out of water. The battle has only begun. We thank you. Ashe, the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, invites you to look at our website, come to our programs on January 29th, and allow us to keep educating, to advocate, to legislate. Ashe.